What's up guys, James here from Shockerracing, and today I've got the 392 Wrangler back in the garage and kind of got a basic one for you today. I'm going to be installing wheel spacers. Yes, I said wheel spacers. Now, I know a lot of people aren't fans of wheel spacers, and in all honesty, I'm not the biggest fan of them myself, but we are really liking the stock wheels on the Wrangler 392, and with the 37s, we think it's got a killer look. We are doing wheel spacers, or we chose and decided to go with wheel spacers for two reasons. Number one, and this was kind of the smaller reason, is as you saw in our last video, we do get some minor rubbing on the lower control arms in the front at full turn. So with the minor rubbing, you know, it's just something you got to think about every time you're turning. Not something that's really affecting our drivability, but just one additional reason why we chose to go with wheel spacers. But honestly, the number one or the biggest reason that we chose to go with a set of wheel spacers, again, because we love the stock 392 wheels, is because our friends at APB Brakes just sent us out a set of their massive brake calipers for the Wrangler JL, and obviously these do fit the 392. Now, as most of you probably know or assume, Jeep threw this big 392 6.4 liter Hemi with all this power into the Wrangler JL, but what they didn't do was upgrade the braking system. So the brakes are definitely underpowered for all this extra power. When you get into it, you hammer on it, it gets a little sketchy when you need to get back on the brakes and slow down quickly. So we are excited to be installing these APB brakes, which is going to be in our next video. We're not going to get to that today. We're just talking about the spacers. In order to fit these massive rotors and the 14-inch brake calipers inside this stock wheel, we are going to need the wheels to be spaced out just a little bit. One cool thing from APB Brakes, because this was the first 392 that they had really worked with, they sent me out some templates, and I was able to use the templates with the stock wheels to see and check for clearance issues. And what we found was, without a spacer, they were going to be hitting on the spokes here on the inside. So we're going to space them out today using these Teraflex wheel spacers. They're nice, they're hub centric, which is one thing we looked for, and these are the kind that do actually bolt on to the hubs. So this is the way to go if you're gonna do a wheel spacer, not just a little plate that's gonna slide over the studs of the wheels and put a spacer in there. These are actually gonna bolt on, they're gonna get torqued, Loctite, and all that good stuff to make sure that they are as secure as can be. So I'm gonna be working on these today. These are the Teraflex 105 7000, if you could see that there. 105 7000. These are for JLs and JT Gladiator. They will work on them. But what it's going to do is it's just going to move out the stance of the wheel a little bit, which I think is going to give it a little cooler stance. And it's going to make things more functional for us with the big brake kit. Now, I'm not saying that at some point we may not switch to a different wheel with a better offset that will clear all this without the spacers, but for now this is going to do the trick. So I'm going to jump right into that. Super quick, easy install. The hardest part really is taking the tires off and just torquing everything down. So I'm going to let me show you how the stance is without the spacers so we can see the difference after we're all done installing the spacers. So you can see from the side view that the tires are pretty well lined up, maybe just a touch inside the fender flare, maybe just a touch on the back side. I've got this front side jacked up already. I should actually just lower it down. So you can see here on the driver's side, I mean, it looks like they just stick out just a touch. And let's look at the rears from the back. Not much there as far as spacing out. just a little bit here. And yeah, I guess on the front as well. From the original view, it didn't look like they stuck out much at all, but they do stick out just a touch. Maybe kind of the lugs here a little bit out. So we will see. It should move them out about 1 3/4 inches, I think is the ones that I got here. So obviously the first thing you got to do is get your wheel and tire off. So but I just wanted to show you a little sneak peek for next time. These APB brakes are gonna look absolutely amazing sitting inside the wheel here. You can see how much larger they are, and it's gonna be a much larger diameter rotor than what's stock, but that's gonna look pretty awesome in there. So stay tuned for our next video on that one to see how these things look once we get them bolted up, and we'll do a comparison to give you an idea how much better they actually stop. So stay tuned. Okay, so here it is. You can definitely see it is out quite a bit more from the fender than the stock is, which I think is a cool look. It's probably a little bit more than I would have liked, being the 1.75 inch spacer. I probably would have liked a little less, but in order to get it to fill that stud or completely cover the stock stud, you know, there's only so small that you can go with a spacer. So I think that's why Teraflex only offers that size. but I think it's gonna do the trick, at least for now, until we decide if we wanna switch to an aftermarket wheel at some point. Okay, so that's it. It only took me, I don't know, maybe half an hour. It's really not all that hard to put these on. I think it actually gave it a pretty cool stance. I'm gonna get it out of the garage so we can get a better look at it and kind of do a walk around showing them. The other thing I was thinking as I was doing it is you guys are probably like, what's this guy doing? Why is he putting these spacers on when he's gonna have to take those front rotors off for the big brake kit? The answer is I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to doing the big brake kit, when I'm gonna get that installed. So I wanted to get these on first. I may not even make it to the 50-mile mark before I take them back off. So maybe I wasted my time on the front brakes or the front spacers, but on the rears, those aren't gonna change. We just got fronts for the big brake kit, so there's no upgrade for the rears yet. So those are gonna stay the same. So at worst, I wasted 50% of the time here to do this. So anyways, let me get this out of the garage. Let's check it over, take a look, and I'm gonna see if this did in fact stop the rubbing issue on the lower control arm. So let me pull it out. Okay, so next we're gonna test and see if this tire is still rubbing the lower control arm right there. So basically we're gonna cut the wheel all the way to the left as hard as we can. And you can see there's a pretty good clearance there, so I don't think it's gonna rub. Keep it hard cut to the left. Okay. And checking the passenger side. All right, so these wheel spacers definitely solved problem number one, which was the lower control arm rubbing with the 37-inch tires, as we demonstrated in our previous video. So it definitely took care of that. Now, I think this is gonna give us plenty of room to clear the new big APB brakes. So that'll be our next on our list, so stay tuned for that. If you've enjoyed this video and you've been enjoying our videos, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Give us a big thumbs up and comment below if you have any questions or if there's anything else you'd like to see with the 392 Wrangler. So thanks again, see you in the next one.